In this video, we are going to look at the Chicago Sky and what they've done in terms of their roster moves in the recent trade for Ariel Atkins. Has Jeff Pagliocca, has he gone Derek Fisher? As well, we will take a look at the blackballing of Chennedy Carter. Will she suffer the same fate of Stefan Jurjevic? And is her behavior really worse than others? But before we start, if you enjoy the content, then please consider subscribing to the channel and giving the video a like. All right, let's get into this. So first, before we talk about the trade, let's take a look at the roster moves. So the Sky have brought in Rebecca Allen. She's a 6'2 forward from Phoenix. She's good. She's a nice 3-and-D player. The only problem with her is that she's always injured. Kia Nurse is also another signing. Nurse is 6 foot. She's 29 years old. She's never averaged above 4 points. She's a good backup guard. Their other free agent signing guard is Courtney Vandersloot, who's returning to Chicago after winning a championship with them. So she is 36 years old. Last year with New York, she shot 29%. New York didn't really need her. By the time the playoffs rolled around, they'd figured out that their on-off numbers with Phoebich on the court were much better, and basically she was relegated to a secondary role. She's a good guard coming off the bench. In theory, Chicago's hoping that she'll reclaim her glory coming to Chicago and be that veteran savvy leader that Chicago needs. And overall, all of those moves, Allen, Nurse, Vandersloot, they're low-risk moves. They might work out, they might not. Will Allen stay healthy? Can Vandersloot continue to defy Father Time? To be determined. And then this trade happened where they trade for Ariel Atkins, giving up the number 3 pick to the Mystics in the 2025 draft, as well as their second-round pick in the 2027 draft, and their swap rights to give the Mystics their swap rights to the Chicago Sky number 1 pick. So essentially, if the Sky have a better pick than the Mystics, then the Mystic are able to switch their pick with the Sky. And I think I know Q for sure, everybody is criticizing this trade based on giving up the swap rights and the number 2 pick in 27, but as well, I'm just not a big fan of passing up a chance to grab a core player on a rookie contract. If you have the number 3 pick, even if Miles is gone or doesn't come out, you can still grab Citron or potentially Kiki Arieffin. I know you have Angel Reese, but it wouldn't be a bad backup insurance policy to have in case Angel Reese cannot develop an outside shot. Now, this is where their mistakes of the past come back to haunt them a little bit, and whether you deem it a mistake or not, trading with the Lynx to move up to get Angel Reese puts a lot of pressure on them not to be a lottery team in 2026 because the Lynx own that pick. And therefore, this roster they put together, if it all goes well, they will be average to slightly above average. That's sort of their ceiling with this team. If you have Beck Allen, Nurse, Vandersloot, Atkins, and combining them with Reese and Cardoso, as well as Michaela Onyanwerne, that is not a team that's looking to win a championship, obviously. That's a team looking to stay out of the lottery. And yes, I know the Sky have the Connecticut Suns pick, number 1 pick in 26, which should be, by all accounts, pretty good. But giving that pick away to the Lynx, as well as the swap right deal that they had in 25, those have prevented Chicago from doing a proper tank and a proper rebuild. They're sort of halfway rebuilding, not being as terrible as possible and trying to wade those fine waters. And it just gives them no direction in terms of where they're going. And then the reason I compare Jeff Pagliocca to Derek Fisher is, much like Fisher, he had nothing to lose in his Chennedy Carter trade. He wasn't going to be around there and signing Liz Cambage. If it didn't work, he was going to be fired anyway. And much like this, Pagliocca's like, if this doesn't work and we're terrible in 27, I'm not going to be here anyway. I'm sure to be fired by that time. And if these moves do work, then the swap rights mean nothing, obviously, especially if Washington is terrible, which is expected. But the reason I don't like the swap deal is it really prevents Chicago, if things go bad, and there's a potential for this to go bad, if Reese doesn't develop an outside shot, then essentially she's a journeyman player. And then you've got Ariel Atkins as your best player with an old Vandersloot, Kia Nurse, and Beck Allen. You just don't have a lot on this team. And giving those swap rights away for 27 It prevents you from tanking if things go really bad, and you want the ability to tank and control your pick, because that's the year Juju Watkins comes out. And if you miss out on that, that is a killer. You don't want to miss out on the 27 draft. It will have Booker, Full Wiley, a lot of talent in that draft, and you don't want to be worried about if you control your pick or not. One other side note about this trade, I just wonder if Chicago was forced to put in the 27 swap and the second round pick because Seattle was in talks as well. Because I thought once Seattle made the deal to get the second pick, I thought that they were going to use that to trade for Atkins. Like, that made sense to me. I don't understand why Seattle would keep the 2 pick with their veteran team unless they feel like they can pull off Paige Beckers. That's the only thing I can figure. But that is all speculation because nobody knows. Now, in terms of looking at Chicago, if it was me, I just would have re-signed Chennedy Carter at a low salary. Her numbers were better than Atkins in terms of her scoring. I think Chennedy averaged 17 points, where Atkins has only averaged over 15 like once in her career. Obviously, Atkins can shoot the 3-ball better, but I just would have brought Chennedy Carter back and see if she could behave in Tyler Marsh's system. If not, then you can get rid of her. But yeah, I don't understand giving all this away and letting free value of Chennedy Carter go. And then it's obvious that Chennedy Carter is being blackballed. It started with the piece written by Annie Constantine, which was obviously leaked to her by the Chicago Sky. And the WNBA teams, they're all buying into it, it seems, because she cannot get a gig thus far in free agency. And she arguably had the best numbers out there of anybody. And you look at it and it's like, what has Chennedy Carter done that's so egregious? Yes, she had her issues in Atlanta. She got in a fight with Courtney Williams. Well, Courtney Williams got in a fight that got exposed and was a bad look for Atlanta and got traded to Connecticut. And obviously Courtney Williams is a good teammate, but she had her issues as well and got a second chance. And others would say, hey, Kennedy got her second chance. That was in LA. Well, LA was a mess and it didn't work. And then she got a third chance, which I didn't think she would get. Like, I've done videos, the rise and fall of Kennedy, because I didn't think she'd make it back to the WNBA. And then she made it back, and I had to say, hey, I was wrong. Kennedy made it back as she put up really good numbers. And during the season, they asked, hey, who's the funniest person on the team? And all the Sky teammates said, yeah, it's Kennedy. So how all of a sudden she became enemy number one? Yes, I know the cheap shot on Caitlin Clark, and she had questionable fouls. But for that to be a reason that she's not on a roster in 2025, that is crazy to me. Especially when you consider the Seattle Storm, they're more than happy to give Diggins Smith another chance. Diggins Smith forced her way out of Dallas, complaining the whole time, even when Dallas paid her while she was on maternity leave, when they didn't have to do it under that CBA agreement. Then she goes to Phoenix, gets into it with Taurasi, and then the rest of the season is a pain in the bum, constantly undermining rookie coach Vanessa Nygaard, who obviously wasn't very good, but Diggins Smith did not help that situation in one game, begging to be taken out. And what does she get? She gets rewarded with another contract with the Seattle Storm. And surprise, surprise, the Storm have drama and they're shipping out Jewel Lloyd. And Diggins Smith stays there clean as a rose. But Chennedy Carter, yeah, she's the real bad girl that needs to be banned from WNBA rosters. All right, now it's over to you. Your poison, your comments, they're all welcome. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a good night.